Well, namaskar to everyone. And first of all, at the very outset, I would like to really congratulate the organizers who could actually schedule this particular webinar. It is pretty inclusive, and then it actually has touched upon very many issues. And I would like to also thank Dr. Dheeraj, who in fact told me, and in fact, I also had the same problem when I wanted to join. Perhaps there was some hiccup in the technological hiccup. They said, no, already you have 100 odd people, so you cannot join. And be that as it may, now I got an opportunity to kind of share some of my thoughts. But before I do that, I would like to make a few things clear. The first thing is that I'm not from JNU. So this is the first thing that I would like to really share. The first thing that I'm not from JNU, although many of my very, very great friends are from JNU, and I have got great respect for that institution, for that university. And I can still remember the first time when I went to JNU, and I went to the hostels, I went to the colleges, I mean all the institute, the different schools they are in, and I spoke to the students and all that, and I have got great admiration and respect for the institution, for the people, for the faculty, and for everyone there. The second thing that I would like to clarify that I worked in the health ministry in Government of India for almost 7 years, and I was handling various things, including the National Health Mission and various other things, all aims and everything, medical education, the drugs regulation, the food regulation, the health protection scheme, all those kind of things. But that was almost 3 years back. Now, in the last almost 3 years, I was secretary in the Ministry of MSME, Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises, and I just retired on the 30th of April. So I'm no longer the secretary of the Ministry of MSME. I used to be secretary of Ministry of MSME. So let me put that very, very clearly from the very beginning. Now, coming back to, I was told that, what can or what should the MSME sector do so that we can achieve the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister and many of us Indians, that how can we be a strong, vibrant, and self-reliant India, that is Atmanirbhar Bharat, that Honorable Prime Minister so aptly and so eloquently the other day he announced about this. Now, I'll just give a few background things, and I would just talk about a few things quickly. Now, the Indian MSME sector, when people come from outside, they used to come and they used to ask, how big is this sector? Now, you would be surprised to know, there was a survey in 2015-16, and as per that survey, it was found out that we have 6.34 crore MSMEs in this country, as per a survey, which is employing around 11 to 12 crore people. That was in 15-16. Thereafter, many things have happened. The new Mudra scheme was launched. Many of those micro units have been financed. I'm sure now it will definitely be much, much more. That is number one. Number two, there are three important aspects to the MSME ecosystem that I would like to tell everybody. I'm sure you must be knowing it, but nevertheless, I would like to tell you, because that is from where it will flow, how it can contribute to this particular, for realization of this great vision of self-reliant India. The MSMEs are present everywhere. You go to the Northeast, you go to the Jammu Kashmir, you go to anywhere, you go to Bastar district, you go to Koraput district, you go wherever you want to go to Gadchiroli, the MSMEs are present everywhere. So they contribute to an inclusive, equitable growth. This is the most important thing that we must remember. The large units, the big units are not present everywhere. They are present in some places in this country. The big factories, the big plants, they are present in some parts of the country. This is the MSMEs who are present everywhere. That's number one. Number two, there's sheer numbers, as I just mentioned, huge numbers of MSMEs, both in manufacturing, also in services, and some of them are also doing trading and also helping. The other important point about MSMEs are like there is very high degree of employment generation for each rupee spent or invested. If you look at the large industries, there, whatever they invest, the employment generation is not that much. But if you compare with the employment generation divided by the amount invested, it is extremely favorable and high in case of MSMEs. And this is the extremely employment intensive, employment oriented sector. So this is a very, very important thing. I must talk about this. The next point which I would like to say, that after agriculture, MSMEs are the second largest employer, and then they do field level innovations at a very, very low investment, they do a lot of investment. So this is the background. Now, why MSMEs are important in our scheme of things? Because as you know, the MSMEs contribute almost 29% to the GDP, almost 45 to 48% to the employment to the exports, to the country's exports. But if you look at the MSMEs, they don't export directly. They export through the large ones. They export through the export houses. They don't export directly, not many of them. This is where the problem or the challenge comes, that how do we make them self-reliant, competitive, and extremely competitive in exports, so that they can not only manufacture, they can also sell their products, not just inside the country, but outside the country as well. So this is where the importance of MSMEs come. Because if you look at the pyramid of the industry, if anyone looks at the pyramid of the industry, what we call industry, the large industries are right at the top. They are very, very few. The huge part of the pyramid is actually MSMEs. If you look at the goods and services tax registration, the GSTN, as they say, out of, I was told, I do not exactly know what is the latest number, but I was told when it was around 1.3 crores or so, just leaving around 8 to 10 lakhs, which are large. All the rest, that is 1.2 crores, who are registered as in the GSTN, are MSMEs, either in the manufacturing sector or in the services sector. So with that, I would also like to say that most of the MSMEs were in the informal sector. With the coming of the GST, the goods and services tax, they are coming to the formal sector. When they come to the formal sector, their credit history is known to everybody. Gradually, they build up their credit history. Now, today is the time when we have such huge challenge which has come for the COVID, and before that also, that unless and until we make these MSMEs competitive, their manufacturing competitiveness increases, they become part of the local, the national, and the international value chains, it becomes very, very difficult for the country to be competitive in the total manufacturing sector. So that is where in the entire value chain, they have to play a very, very important role. Now, I don't know if anybody can recall, in 2018 November, Honorable Prime Minister made 12 very historic announcements to help MSMEs to have better access to capital, better access to credit, because credit is extremely important. Timely loan facility to the MSMEs. That's number one. Number two, access to technology. What kind of technology? Because continuous technology upgradation, the latest frontiers of technology. We talk about artificial intelligence, augmented reality, or whatever. They are all very, very important for the industry, and perhaps more important for the MSMEs to become more competitive. Then the third is access to markets, not just markets inside, but markets outside, export markets. And fourth is the ease of doing business. Now, why should somebody set up a new micro enterprise or a small enterprise? If that person actually finds it very easy to set up an enterprise, then they will do it. Now, there we come across important role of not just the government of India, but the state governments, the municipal bodies, the local government, everywhere, they have a huge, huge role to play to take the MSMEs forward. to help the MSME ecosystem. Now, when we are talking about MSME of different challenges, the another challenge is the delayed payments. They supply goods and services to various people, to the government, to the central public sector enterprises, to the state PSUs, to private fellows, to other MSMEs, but many times they don't get their payment in time. Though there is a provision in the MSMED Act that all this payment has to be done within 45 days, there is a big challenge there. Now, I would just quickly touch upon, many things have been done. If you look at, for that perhaps, that will take a long time, what all has been done by the government. But one thing I would like to just tell you, that one of the biggest problems that MSMEs face is access to information. Many of them do not know. The large industries know where to export, where to source their credit from, what is the technology that they are looking for, whether it is cost effective. They will get consultants. The biggest problem of the MSMEs is to access information at the right time. So for that, not just the central government, all the state governments, they are also trying to do a lot of things. And on the 30th of April, we have started a portal called, it's our Honorable Minister, Mr. Gadkari, this was his dream. And we have started this portal, which is called the MSME Bank of Ideas, Innovations and Research. In that portal, what we have done, if you look at any MSME or anybody who wants to set up an enterprise can actually see in one place, in one portal, all the schemes of not just the MSME ministry, but all other ministries which have schemes for MSMEs, and all schemes of the state governments, various state governments, which are meant for MSMEs. Everything has been compiled and has been put in one place. What are the benefits that people can get? Who are going to be eligible for that? So everything is actually put in one place. People can go and they can know how to apply for that, whether they are eligible. All those things have been put in one place. It's a work in progress. Things will improve even further. Now, the last, after the COVID, if you must have noticed, what are the things which have been done, which are perhaps going to help during these very, very unprecedented, extraordinarily difficult times. But this is the time when, when we are talking about Make in India would be extremely, it is a very, very laudable vision. But MSMEs have to play a very important role in Make in India. And friends, if you must be following various news items in the newspaper. Now, central government also has decided that even in the Ministry of Defense, within the defense procurement, they would like to really, ensure that our local industries, the industries within our country, they become so competitive, they become so good that the defense parts, all the procurement that they do, gradually, steadily, but surely, slowly, but surely, this procurement can come actually from local industries and thereby also from the MSMEs. So that is also going to be a huge, huge step in the right direction to make them self-reliant, to come up to a particular standard, to compete with others, and to be able to really manufacture those parts, those equipments, those components which can outcompete all the other industries all across the world. Now, coming back to the various announcements which have been made by central government and also by RBI, I'll just quickly touch upon them, just to remind you, all of us, that which are these announcements and how they are going to help. There are many schemes which are there, but I'm going to quickly just talk about the new ones which have been announced. The first one was the collateral-free credit flow to the MSMEs up to 5 crores. This is collateral-free, mind you, credit flow to MSMEs up to 5 crores. This is a fund flow which has been announced by Government of India of 3 lakh crore. Now, this 3 lakh crore can be a credit flow to the MSMEs. Those MSMEs whose annual turnover is up to maximum up to 100 crore, and suppose they have a loan up to 25 crore. So 20% of the 25 crore, which works out to around 5 crore, can be given to MSMEs so that they can come out of this present, the difficult times that we are talking about. And the more important thing is there is a 1-year moratorium on payment of interest. Now, if this loan they take, they can use it as a working capital or whatever they want to work, and there will be a 1-year moratorium, and then a 4-year term, it kind of a loan period. So this is extremely important for a credit flow. The second thing that the ministry and the government actually tried, that there are many MSMEs which are stressed, who are becoming NPAs, so non-performing assets. They are not able to repay their EMIs. So with that, now this 20,000 crore has been announced, where the government will provide something called subordinated debt by way of equity part of the person, of the MSME, towards his equity. Now he will take this as subordinated debt so that the banks can also pay their part, or the debt can also be given. The third thing which has been announced, I think it's an unprecedented and an extremely path-breaking move, which is the fund of funds. Now, many of the MSMEs are not able to progress, not able to really go up and get themselves listed, not able to access capital markets. Now, this fund, which has been already announced, it's going to be it's going to attract 50,000 crore. It's a 10,000 crore corpus fund, which is going to attract 50,000 crore of private equity and venture capital funds, who will in turn invest in the MSMEs, which have good potential to really kind of improve their functioning and to kind of have their revenue going up, and they can go and they get themselves listed in the capital markets to access equity and the equity infusion would also be there. The other important thing that the government has announced, that in the very like all the tenders of the government up to 200 crores, the CPSEs need not really go for the global tenders. They need not go. That means now this time the MSMEs and the local industries will find it extremely very, very helpful, because they can participate in this tender. Now there won't be any global tender for procurement of an amount up to 200 crore. This will also help them to improve their functioning, to improve their strategy, their technology, and to become more and more self-reliant, more and more vibrant. The MSMEs, as I just mentioned, the government has also announced that all their payables have to be paid back in 45 days by the government of India and by all the CPSEs. In next 45 days, all things have to be paid, because this is one of the very big challenges that MSMEs face. Now, 12% employer contribution and 12% employee contribution, that has also been from the government will pay that for the EPF in the next 6 months. Now, one more important thing that I would like to really tell you, that the NBFCs, the microfinance institutions, the housing finance companies play a very important role in credit flow to the MSMEs. Now, government has announced a special 30,000 crore special liquidity fund for all these NBFCs, HFC and MFIs, which is going to increase the credit flow to the micro and small enterprise, this sector. Apart from that, government has also announced 45,000 crore, which is like a partial credit guarantee scheme for all NBFCs. Now, coming back to the RBI announcements, now all these will help MSMEs to have better credit flow, and there are many other things. For example, government has increased the procurement, the public procurement, that up to 25% of the total procurement have to be done by the CPSEs from the micro and small enterprises. So all this will help them, and 3% from the women entrepreneurs. 3% will be reserved for procurement from women entrepreneurs. So all this would help them to actually, become gradually, improve their functioning and become, eventually, look towards becoming self-reliant. Now, the other things that the RBI has already announced, a 50,000 crore special refinance scheme to NABARD, to SIDBI, and to National Housing Bank. And the last thing that I would like to say, that the repo rate, that we all know that the repo rate is the rate in which RBI lends to the other banks. The other banks, borrow this money from RBI at this repo rate. That has been that has been reduced to 4%. That means if the banks can actually borrow it at 4%, it's really going to help them to lend at a much less rate of interest to the MSMEs and also to the other ones. So this is going to be of great help. And one last thing that I would like to say, that the EMIs to the banks which had been deferred, moratorium had been given for 3 months, that has also been enhanced to another 3 months. That means for 6 months, the EMIs need not be paid. Anybody wants to pay, that's fine. But for the 6 months, the MSMEs can actually defer it, this moratorium. These are special measures which have been taken by the RBI and also by government of India. And I can tell you that many of the state governments are also coming up with various measures, like, for giving up ease of doing business, so that at least these MSMEs who are facing such unprecedented challenges because of the COVID-19 can actually come. Now, coming back to the Atmanirbhar Bharat. Now, the MSMEs have to be a part of the regional value chain. They have to be a part of the national value chain and international value chain, so that they can export, they can do better, they can earn better money, they can employ more people. And they're now the technology centers. I must tell you one last thing, that the technology centers, because the MSMEs do not know where to access this technology. Now the government, under the ministry had 18 technology centers. Now 15 more are under completion. 4 of them have become already functional. Now 18 plus 15, 33 are already, they have started. Many of them are really helping the MSMEs. But one most important thing that the government has announced, that government is going to set up 120 more technology centers, 20 large technology centers, 100 small extension centers, because of better technology outreach to all the MSMEs all across the country. The large ones will also have the latest frontiers of science that we talk about. It can be Internet of Things, it can be artificial intelligence and all that. So the people can be trained, their employees can be trained, they can be given this technology access. This is going to be extremely helpful. And we need the latest technology for MSMEs if they want to really become self-reliant. They can compete with others. They need credit in time, they need market access. For better market access, the standards, the quality, the parameters that they have to compete with us, for that they need technology. And government is actually leaving no stone unturned to do this. I'm sure many other departments, many other ministries in Government of India and also in the state governments are also trying to do this. Now, all the state governments, the industry associations and academic institutions, their academic institutions can actually give handholding support to many of the MSMEs. Now, why can't we actually go to the various clusters that we have and give them that support? So this is all what is being done, and I just wanted to kind of just have a quick overview of the things which have been done and which have been announced. And I think I can tell you that there are huge challenges for the MSMEs and for other industries as well. But in the coming months and the coming years, giving the geopolitical, the changes that we can expect, the strategic shifts that we can expect, that many of the industries are also shifting, or at least one can read about them. They're shifting from other countries of the world, that they can actually come to India. There can be better investment in India, better technology flow up to India. And this is a time that we should not let it go. And all the MSMEs and industries, we should all try to improve ourselves so that we can part of this great dream called Atmanirbhar Bharat. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Namaskar.